LFA 115, Silveira versus Cummings, 15 fights on the entire fight card. The main event, two undefeated light heavyweight fighters in Josh Silveira, who is 5-0 with every single win being a finish in the first, second, or third round. All of them by rear naked choke submission, arm triangle, or a head kick and knockout win. T. Cummings also a very good finisher, so 5 rounds in the light heavyweight division. The co-main event in the heavyweight division, very, very big guys in terms of height and in terms of reach, in Chad Johnson and Jordan Heiderman. I 1000% expect a finish. A lightweight fight with Lucas Clay and Jay Kazurski, Brian Bautista and Mondo Gutierrez in the bantamweight division, Katharina Paprocki and Hillary Rose in the women's strawweight division, Edwin Cooper Jr. and Andrew D. Johnson in the featherweight division, and last, probably least because of the record right there for Riyadh Waller, but Roland Dunlap and Riyadh Waller in the middleweight division. But let's get into our full card prediction for LFA 115, because it's going to be a very, very solid fight here. There's a lot of guys here I see probably fighting on Dana White's Contender Series in the next couple of years. Those guys are probably going to be Lucas Clay, John Silveira, Edwin Cooper Jr., Roland Dunlap, and possibly Katharina Paprocki as well. A lot of these people right here I see fighting in the UFC in the near future. But let's get into the first fight right here. This fight in the middleweight division, Roland Dunlap and Riyadh Waller in the middleweight division. Yeah, domination is all I really have to say right here. Riyadh Waller, he's got decent striking, he's got some decent power in his hands, has 0 knockouts on his record except for this one right there. I couldn't find the film on it though. He has some rear nakeds on his record as well, but for this fight, it's all going to be about Roland Dunlap. The man is amazing karate, really good movement around the cage, sort of Stephen Wonderboy Thompson type of movement around the cage, really good jab, 1-2s, good side kicks, good leg kicks, good body kicks. The karate game of Roland Dunlap is going to get him the win. I believe he's going to be a little bit taller. Not too sure about the reach, but on the feet, Roland Dunlap's just going to out-volley Riyadh Waller, probably to a decision, but we do know he has that double leg takedown in his back pocket. We saw his last 2 fights. His last fight against Ibinwa Ikebuna, absolutely insane. First round slam to a couple of elbows as well. I mean, that double leg takedown is absolutely powerful from Roland Dunlap. He's got a lot of power on the feet. Doesn't necessarily look for the knockout on the feet. Kind of hurts you. Then go for the double leg takedown and start ground pounding the heck out of you. But on the feet, he's going to dominate Riyadh Waller and again mix in the takedown. So either way, I see Roland Dunlap getting the knockout, whether it's by a head kick, body kick KO on the feet, or if it's by another slam TKO or some ground pound as well. So I don't see this fight going any other way than Roland Dunlap going out there and TKOing or knocking out Riyadh Waller in the first or second round. A really good fight in the middleweight division. Edwin Cooper Jr. and Andrew D. Johnson in the featherweight division. Edwin Cooper Jr. is legit. He's got some very, very solid wrestling and grappling skills. He's going to be 4 inches taller than Andrew D. Johnson as well. He's got some good counter punching on the feet, but that single leg takedown on the feet is very, very solid. I mean, in the fight with Robson Jr., a very solid grappler, I mean, he took him down over and over and over again. Right when he got back up on the feet, he took him down again. I mean, it literally took like 5-6 seconds of every single round for Edwin Cooper Jr. to land the takedown. It was so easy for him to just keep on landing the takedown consistently over and over and over again and eventually get the ground upon TKO. All of his wins are either ground upon TKOs or by unanimous decision. His only loss to Sean William Curvey. I looked at the fight. It's a little controversial. I'm not too sure if he tapped on that one. So he should honestly be an undefeated fighter in this featherweight division. But you can make the case that he lost that one, but I do not think he tapped on that one. Andrew D. Johnson has some decent striking, decent wrestling, decent grappling. He's pretty much decent in every single facet of the game, but nowhere near anything with Edwin Cooper Jr. He might have a very, very good striking game, but if you look at Jamie Simmons right here, he got slam knocked out there, and he got taken down fairly easily by Jamie Simmons, who's not necessarily known for his wrestling or grappling. If Jamie Simmons can do it and knock him out with a slam, Edwin Cooper Jr. can do the exact same thing. I think Edwin Cooper Jr. is going to absolutely dominate the fight with a double leg takedown or a single leg takedown. I mean, it's kind of, he usually goes for the single leg takedown when your back is to the cage, but every now and then he'll go for the double leg. But whichever takedown he's going to be going for, he's going to get the fight down, and he's going to ground upon the heck out of Andrew D. Johnson and get either a ground upon TKO, a rear naked, or an arm triangle choke submission in the first or second round. Really a fight in the featherweight division. Catherine Paprocki and Hillary Rose in the women's strawweight division. Catherine Paprocki needs to go out there, clinch up a heck of a lot of times in the fight, and put on some relentless pressure. She's going to have a 2-inch reach advantage right there. The height is going to be very, very even, with the pressure and the power of Catherine Paprocki is where she gets the advantage right here, because once she puts on the pressure, like she did against Tiani Valle in her last fight, got her back to the cage and just started throwing haymakers on Tiani Valle. That's the way she's going to win the fight, is throwing those really big shots, getting the fight to the clinch, getting that sort of tie clinch on Hillary Rose, landing the knees to the body, the knees to the head, those overhead elbows, which are very solid. By the clinching game of Catherine Paprocki and the pressure game of Catherine Paprocki is going to be what gets her the win, because she's a much more powerful striker than Hillary Rose. If she can out-volume her and land more power with those clinch shots, and with a constant pressure like she did against Tiani Valle, she's going to win the fight. Hillary Rose needs the fight to hit the ground, but Catherine has very solid takedown defense. I think has better wrestling than Hillary Rose as well. I do not see the fight going to the ground. Catherine is going to absolutely destroy her in the clinch with knees and elbows, and at range, she's going to put on the pressure, and I do think it'll win the fight by a unanimous decision. Really good fight in the women's strawweight division. Brian Bautista and Mondo Gutierrez in the bantamweight division, 4 wins and 1 loss, and then 5 wins and 1 loss. Not too sure how old the Brian Bautista is, but he's going to have the striking advantage. 4 wins and 1 loss right there. If you look at how he's winning, he has no knockout wins on his record. Every single win is a submission win, and every single loss is also going to be a submission win. But do not get me wrong, he does have very solid striking. Let's get you back to the cage and just start pressuring with some really big shots. In the striking, I'm actually going to give the advantage to Brian Bautista. Mondo Gutierrez is going to have better wrestling, has a really good guillotine choke, has a good single leg takedown against the cage, a decent double leg, but more of a single leg takedown type of guy. Sorry about that, I had a burp in there. But Mondo Gutierrez is going to be a much closer fight. I looked at the betting odds, and I'm very surprised. I mean, I'm not too surprised that they're giving Mondo Gutierrez all the credit because of his grappling and wrestling game. I mean, only losing to Mo Miller, that's very impressive, because Mo Miller is a very solid guy, as we saw on Dana White's Contender Series. But the odds, -260 for Mondo, and then +200. I think it's a much closer fight. Brian Bautista has very solid striking, much more power than Mondo, much more speed. He's going to have the height advantage. Not too sure if he's going to have the reach advantage, but he's got good grappling as well. I do think this is a very 50-50 fight. I'm very slightly leaning Mondo Gutierrez to go out there and just out-wrestle, out-grapple Brian Bautista to a decision win. I can see Brian Bautista winning this one. Do not bet on this fight. It's an underdog or pass type of fight, but Mondo Gutierrez, I do think, will do enough to win a 29-28 decision in the wrestling and grappling game. But I can definitely see scenarios where Brian Bautista outstrikes Mondo, defends a takedown, and wins the fight by knockout or unanimous decision. It's a very close one, but I do think Mondo Gutierrez is the better wrestler, the better grappler, and will use that to get a unanimous decision to win. The really good fight in the bantamweight division right there. Lucas Clay and Jay Kazurski in the lightweight division. 30.5 years old, 6 foot tall, not too sure the reach. 7 wins, 1 loss, 25.5 years old, 6 foot tall, and then 74.5-inch reach. So I'm assuming Lucas Clay is going to have the reach advantage. He usually does. The 74.5-inch reach in the lightweight division, that is absolutely insane. In his last fight, he actually had the reach underdog. He was the underdog in terms of the reach in that one, but he does have a very solid reach for the lightweight division. But for this fight, Jay Kazurski needs to keep the fight on the feet. He's got decent grappling. I mean, most of his wins are submission wins, but here he needs the fight to stay on the feet, put on the pressure on Lucas Clay, and defend the takedowns. If he can defend the takedowns on Lucas Clay, keep the fight on the feet, and just out-volume Lucas Clay with the pressure striking, he can definitely win. But Lucas Clay is very good counter-punching with that left hook and straight right hand. He's mainly going to be out there just to counter-punch you to eventually set up the double leg takedown, but that's where it kind of gets very worrisome for Jake Kazurski, is because every single time he comes in for whatever strike, he's going to counter with a left hook and go right down for the double leg takedown. Lucas Clay is a much better wrestler, much better grappler than Jake Kazurski, which is why I'm going to pick Lucas Clay to end up winning the fight by a unanimous decision. Jake, you got to defend the takedowns that I just don't think you're going to be able to defend all of the takedowns. If JJ Oknovich was not able to defend the takedowns, I'm not too sure you're going to be able to defend the takedowns right there. So my prediction is Lucas Clay going out there, keeping the fight on the feet, counter punching Jake Kazurski, and mixing in the double leg takedowns, ground pounding for the decision win right there. Lucas Clay by a unanimous decision. Really good fight in the lightweight division. Chad Johnson and Jordan Heiderman in the heavyweight division. The co-main event for LFA 115, Silveira versus Cummings. It's going to be a really good fight. Either way, if Jordan Heiderman wins or if Chad Johnson wins, they're going to go to sleep. One of those guys is going to sleep by knockout, or they're going to go to sleep by a rear naked or arm triangle choke submission. But Chad Johnson goes out there. He's very, very big. I mean, he's a very strong guy, and he's got a lot of power. First round knockout, first round knockout, first round knockout, first round knockout, second round knockout, and another first round knockout. He's got a lot of power in his hands. His last loss was to Josh Parisian by punches from Mounts, which worries me just a little bit right there, that he lost from a ground pound TKO. But Jordan Heiderman, he does have the wrestling and grappling advantage. He's going to go out there, use his wrestling to go out there and look for the rear naked ground pound TKO or an arm triangle choke submission like he usually does. But it's going to be a very, very close fight. I can definitely see Chad Johnson going out there and just coming forward with some really big shots and getting a knockout in the first round. That is very, very likely for Chad Johnson to do. But Jordan Heiderman is the better wrestler, better grappler. And I have seen Chad Johnson get taken down many, many times before on Dana White's Nintendo Series and against Jordan Sufer 2.5 years ago. Now, he's probably made some improvements, but Jordan Heiderman's grappling and wrestling edge, I think is going to be it's going to be way too much for Chad Johnson. So I think the fight hits the mat, and Jordan Heiderman either wins the fight by a ground pound TKO or by a submission in the first or second round. A really good fight in the heavyweight division, the co-main event for LFA 115. Josh Silveira and T. Cummings in the LFA light heavyweight division. 5 rounds for the LFA vacant light heavyweight belt. Josh Silveira, very, very good grappling. I mean, 5 wins and 0 losses. Going to be a little bit taller. He does have very, very solid kickboxing skills in terms of body kicks, leg kicks, head kicks, all that type of stuff. But the main goal of Josh Silveira is to get the double leg takedown and just start ground pounding the heck out of you and looking for the submission. But out of all of his wins, a rear naked, head kick, arm triangle, and a rear naked choke submission. That's how he's going to win the fight against T. Cummings, would be by a submission. T. Cummings, a very powerful striker. We saw in the last fight with Anthony Kalani. I mean, his power in that fight looked absolutely amazing. He had one fight after that in Valor Fighting Championship, but not against the best fighter right there. But against Anthony Kalani, his takedown defense looked pretty solid, but his takedown offense, it didn't look too good. I mean, I don't know. He's also a very solid grappler and wrestler, but his own wrestling didn't really look too good against Anthony Kalani. But his striking did look very, very good. I believe he jabbed and had a right hand right down the pipe and knocked him out. That's exactly what he needs to do against Josh Silveira. Keep the fight on the feet, defend the takedowns, and just come forward with a jab and straight right hand down the pipe and look for the knockout on Josh Silveira. That is the best way T. Cummings is going to win the fight, by knockout right down the middle on Josh Silveira, because he's not going to have the better grappling or wrestling than Josh Silveira. It's very close down there. I mean, T. Cummings does have a very good judo and jiu-jitsu background, but Josh is just way too good down there. I do think Josh will be able to get the takedown, will be able to get an arm triangle or rear and naked choke submission. So that is my prediction, Josh Silveira by submission in the first or second round. Now, I can definitely see T. Cummings going out there getting the knockout in the first or second round, but I mean, if he's going to be going for the knockout, he's going to be going for it, he's going to get taken down in a result of not getting the knockout. So no matter what, I see Josh Silveira ending up getting the fight down some way or another and end up getting the rear naked or arm triangle choke submission. A really good fight in the LFA light heavyweight division. Yeah, those are my full card predictions for LFA 115, Silveira versus Cummings. 15 fights on the entire fight card. I got Roland Dunlap winning his fight, Hayden Cooper Jr. winning his fight, Katharina Paprocki winning her fight. Very, very close. Would not do anything with Mondo Gutierrez, underdog or pass betting wise, but I got Mondo Gutierrez winning that one, Lucas Clay winning that fight, Jordan Hardiman winning that fight right there, and Josh Silveira winning that fight right there. Again, do not bet Mondo Gutierrez right there, but overall, a very, very solid fight card for LFA 115, Silveira versus Cummings. So make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel, and everything like that, and we'll see you in the next video. Let's go.